The Florida Gators can beat the LSU Tigers. It won't be easy and it's not probable, but it's possible. We're going to talk about how they can do that here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy Thursday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Remember that Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. No crossover Thursday today like we were planning. Schedules change. Tomorrow, we got crossover Friday for you. Caroline Fenton of Locked On LSU is going to be here. But today we're doing our normal Friday show then, which is how in the world can the Florida Gators win this game against an LSU team that prior to the season was thought of as a college football playoff team. And we're going to look at some things today. If you're a subtext subscriber, if you're not, sucks to suck. If you are, then you will get some of this. And if you're not, link is in the description below. 2 weeks free, $5 per month after that. It's a great way to support the show if you just want to do that. Get exclusive content while you're at it too. But for Florida, the first key has to be slowing Jayden Daniels down. And I'm not saying stop him because I don't know if you know this. It's damn near impossible to stop Jayden Daniels because Jayden Daniels is arguably the best runner at quarterback that there is. He's a good dual threat in general, but he's arguably the best runner at quarterback that's not an option quarterback. I understand that there are better passers and there's more balanced quarterbacks that are out there, but Jayden Daniels as a runner, I don't think there's a better running quarterback, even including Daquan Finn over at Toledo, who, Chris, if you're listening, we love our guy, but yeah, Jayden Daniels, part of it is also that he has great weapons downfield. You look at Malik Neighbors, you look at Brian Thomas. Great vertical spacers downfield, great field stretchers downfield. And that's always going to be an issue when you're like, okay, well, not only do we have to defend the quarterback that can run faster than half of our defense, if not more than half our defense, we have to defend the receivers that are sprinting downfield. And our players that are faster than that quarterback, they're going to be downfield defending those receivers. You see the conflict here. A lot of times in football, we talk about who's the conflict defender. That's a big thing with option game and RPO and a bunch of these beaters is who's the conflict defender. When you're defending someone like Jayden Daniels, there's a ton of conflict defenders that have to make the right decisions in order to win there. And I think a big part about talking about Jayden Daniels is that he has been insane this year when pressure gets in. Because when pressure gets in, he can extend plays with his legs long enough, because again, he's faster than a lot of those guys. So he can extend plays with his legs long enough to either find someone downfield to throw to or run on his own. He's been good, not great when blitzed. Part of that is because he recognizes the blitz, tries to get the ball out. Part of that is the blitz gets in too quick and he has to throw it away, or he has to rush a throw, or whatever it might be. So I'm going to say this. And I think that I have said enough about defense to say that I am not someone who's like, blitz the hell out of everyone. That's not my approach pretty much ever. And it's still not against this game. I am going to say this, though. Austin Armstrong, I think defensively, what you've got to do is you've got to send 5 every single play. Every single play, I think you have to send 5 into the backfield because and don't worry, baby, we got a whiteboard now. We got a whiteboard. We're gonna upgrade. So I think you got to send 5 every single play. We'll just mark the jack. We'll mark the 3, the 1, and we'll mark the F out there because that's what we're doing now. I'm gonna put an M for Manny Nunnery, and I'm gonna put a J for Jayden Robinson. I think that's what we're gonna do. We'll put an S. We'll put Scooby out there in this set since he's gonna be out on the field a lot. And I think that a great way to stop Jayden Daniels, or a great way to try and slow Jayden Daniels down, is with this kind of front right there. I realize that the S for Scooby kind of looks like the J for Jayden Robinson. But Jayden Robinson is the guy that I'm suggesting out here. I think you could do Manny Nunnery. Manny Nunnery is probably going to be the main guy because he's, second best linebacker available right now, arguably he's a top 3 linebacker on the team when everyone's healthy. And I think that athletically, Manny Nunnery can handle it. I think Jayden Robinson didn't play great against Arkansas. However, I think if you tell Jayden Robinson, hey, all you have to do is spy him, that is your entire responsibility. I think Jayden Robinson is one of your most athletic linebackers to do it. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if we saw 3 linebackers on the field at multiple times. But I think you got to look at this, and you have to send 5 consistently. Because if you're sending 5 consistently, we're gonna flip this around to this side. Sending 5 consistently, you got the F occupying the left tackle, bang, then we'll say blitz there, and then you got that going on right there. That little circle. You know what that is? That's Princely Umanmielen in one-on-one blocking. Okay, because when you talk about that, if you're sending 5, the offense has a couple options to negate that. The offense can keep in additional blockers, which is great for your coverage. That means that there's less guys running routes, less guys they have to worry about when you have to worry about 2 guys like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. So they can keep additional guys in, and then you've still got coverage there at that point, and you trust your pressure to get in, especially if there's a spy, tries to contain them. If they don't keep an additional blocker in, you've got to block everybody one-on-one. That means, yeah, sure, you can block Tyreek Sapp one-on-one. You could block Cam Jackson one-on-one. You can block Caleb Banks one-on-one. You could block Scooby one-on-one. Princely one-on-one? You want to put yourself in that position where you've got to block Princely Umanmielen in one-on-one? And I get it. Again, like Jayden Daniels is amazing at escaping pressure. If you've got the spy there, and again, here's the thing. Even when you spy, it's going to happen. Okay. Like it's going to happen where, as much as it sucks, they're going to break free at some point. I've never seen a spy work the entire game flawlessly. Okay. But if you can put them in conflict and you can create just a crappy situation for them, you do it. So I think that you send that blitz again, Jayden Robinson, Manny Nunnery. That's my spot. Like either one of those guys are my guys. Scooby occasionally, just so that if you do send the blitz with Jayden or Manny, it can sneak in. But I'm thinking blitz Scooby more because, again, he's got edge experience. He did that. Blitz Scooby. Have 4 linemen rushing, or 4 front players rushing. You got Princely in one-on-ones. And then you have to rely on all of those offensive linemen winning every one-on-one every time. Or, again, keeping additional blockers in right now. I don't think that there's a good way to defend Jayden Daniels. I think that he presents a lot and is, again, maybe the most difficult quarterback to defend in the country that isn't Caleb Williams. I think he's more difficult to defend than Bo Nix. I think he's more difficult to defend than Michael Penix, than Drake May. I just, his dual threat ability is insane. But I think that might be the best way to do it. Again, this is like one of those situations where you go, there's no good answer, but we're going to try. It's like trying to figure out Georgia's defense. Like there's no good answer, but we're going to try. And I think that's the important part here is just like, I'm not saying this is what the Florida Gators game plan is going to be. I'm saying this is what my game plan would be if I were the Florida Gators, because, well, I don't think that there's a single good game plan to have in a matchup like this because, again, you've got to defend someone who is damn near impossible to defend. But we do have to talk about the Florida Gators offense now because I think that's something where that's another thing that can actually help you defend Jayden Daniels. And before I get into real detail on that, we spend a lot of time talking together, you and I, at least 3 hours a week, right? We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. And I'm thankful for that connection that we have. And today I want our chat to be just a little bit more personal. And whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered, my friend. Okay. Thanks to our partners at Jase Medical, life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply. Even ED generics for Cialis and Viagra prescriptions. Boom. You can do it. Don't worry. Go online right now at jasemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jasemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Please do subscribe, or please do follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. And I say Twitter, but it's really X. You can see we got the little, where is it? How do I point to it? There, right there, right there. See, it says X now. It says X now. Thanks, Elon. You've changed the world yet again. But for the Florida Gators offense here, as boomer as this is going to sound, and as much as a lot of Florida Gators fans don't want to hear it right now, run the damn football. Because Florida, you should be able to find success throwing the ball in this game too. LSU secondary has given up a lot of big plays, a lot of explosive plays, which I will say, we'll see if Florida's offense really exploits that. Because again, Grammer's not great at throwing the ball deep. Great at moving the sticks, great at converting and making those plays, but not great at throwing the ball deep. So we'll see how that one works out. However, LSU's offense versus Florida's defense, buddy boy, they should be able to put up a lot of points against Florida's defense. Arkansas's offense put up 29 against Florida, and Arkansas was not in a great way heading into that game. And that's evident by them firing their offensive coordinator, and this being his first play calling experience. And he showed up and hung, again, 29 offensive points and 500 yards almost. Florida's defense gave up 43 to Georgia, 39 to SC. Kentucky was 30 something. It was rough at times. It's been rough at times, and LSU's offense should probably find success. And I don't mean should as in yeah, go ahead and do it. I mean, it's probably going to happen. We can talk about how Florida has had some great performances, like you bring up the Tennessee game, stellar defensive performance like that. That was truly one of the best defensive performances that I think you can see this year against the Tennessee offense, just because it's proven it's very difficult to stop. And Austin Armstrong, he showed up in that game. Like, I'm not even going to pretend he didn't. He showed up in that game. And then the rest of the season happened. Yeah. LSU's run defense has been bad. And no, I don't just mean last week against Alabama. I mean, because a lot of that was Jalen Milroe. I do mean just in general, their run defense has been bad. And similar to the Georgia game, when I talked about you want to look at a team that you can at least kind of replicate, it's Auburn in this one. It's Auburn when you talk about, well, what did they do that we can replicate? And it's Auburn a month ago against LSU, month-ish ago. And yes, Auburn did not have a good game. Their run game found a lot of success. And it wasn't just Robbie Ashford, because when you look at the Georgia game, when it was Auburn, Georgia, A lot of that was Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne picking up a few runs there. But you look at someone like Jeremiah Cobb. I mean, Jeremiah Cobb just dogged them. And it wasn't like, oh, he got a ton of carries. No, he had almost 70 yards on 10 carries. And it was just him creating yards there. It was just the offensive line creating yards there. It was just open. He didn't pick up a ton of yards after after contact. He didn't create a ton himself. No, he just showed up in the O-line, cleared the way, and then he just ran to what was there. You can replicate that. You can't replicate Robbie Ashford. You can't replicate what some of these teams have done against Georgia and against LSU without the dual threat quarterback. You can't replicate what Jalen Milroe did against LSU last week. However, you can replicate, hey, give the ball to a running back and let them run the ball. You can do that one. And so for Florida, that's got to be your plan offensively. I get it. You're going to see a good deal of passing plays. You're going to see some spread concepts. You're going to see those things. But I think your bread and butter in this game has to be running the ball because your offensive line should be able to, knock on wood, should be able to find success running the football against this LSU front. Perhaps more important than just run the ball because that'll move the ball for you. That'll open up your passing attack. That'll open up everything for you. You know what running the ball also does? Keeps the ball out of Jayden Daniels' hands and keeps the clock running. And that is a bit important because, like we said, LSU's offense should be able to find success against Florida's defense. If you run the ball, you convert first downs, you pick up chunk play, you keep that offense off the field, you keep them out of a rhythm. And more importantly, you keep your defense nice and fresh. Because they're going to need it. Because I'm telling you, there's going to be quite a few plays where Jayden Daniels starts running for his life. And then he starts moving around. And then everybody gets tired. And there's going to be a busted coverage somewhere. Because that's what Jayden Daniels does. So you want your defense to be as fresh as humanly possible. Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, Trayon Webb. They can help you do that. Run it with Eugene Wilson III. I don't give a damn. Run the football. And again, I don't think I'm someone who's like, oh, you gotta run the football. But you're gonna need to run the football here. Okay, and guess what? LSU is gonna run the football too. And that's one of the last things that I want to talk about because I think that the way LSU runs the football could cause some issues for the Florida Gators. And if you're a Florida Gators fan, or if you're an LSU fan, or if you're just a fan of college football, you probably saw 2021 Tyrion Davis-Price just churning and churning and churning. And I don't think it's going to be that bad this year. But I do think that there are some areas where we look at the Florida Gators defense again and we go, okay, you need to stop it. But before we talk about that, let me tell you guys about Prize Picks because Prize Picks has been the best way for me personally to make money playing daily fantasy sports this year. And if you've got skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with a few easy taps and research. It's simple and easy to play with quick withdrawals too. And it's what makes Prize Picks the daily #1 fantasy sports app. And let me tell you, this week was not a good one for me. Yikes. I will say I hit Jayden Daniels more than I think it was 255 total yards. And then it was kind of just bad. I thought Ricky Pearsall was going to have a great game. I had more than 76.5 receiving yards. I had Deacon Hill less than 1 pick. Neither of those happened because I suck. But go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Remember that Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. And to wrap up today's show, we are talking about LSU has a nice power running game. And if you're a Florida Gators fan, you know they've struggled with the power run. And LSU's rushing attack, even without Jayden Daniels, is going to test this Gators defense. Okay? And no, it's not the same way as Tyrion Davis-Price did with count. Although I'm going to lose my freaking mind if I see long trap or if I see count and I'm going to lose my mind if I see that and it results in a big run from LSU. I'm gonna freak out if I see it. But I hope you guys are ready because LSU is going to run power, which is a gap blocking run scheme, and we'll get that drawn up for you right here. We'll say there's probably going to be a tight end on that side. We'll put Jayden Daniels here. We'll put the running back, whoever that may be on that play here. Who do you want on defense? Let's see. We'll get Tyreek Sapp. We'll get Cam Jackson. We'll get Caleb Banks, and we'll get Princely Umanmielen there. We'll have Scooby Williams there. And just for argument's sake, because before I put Jaden Robinson, we'll put him there again, although I think Manny Nunnery will and should start. But that's the front that we're rolling with in this game. Okay? That's what we're going to see there. I'm going to remove my nameplate there. You know who I am by now. I've been doing this show for 2.5 years. And so and if you can't tell, I'm very excited. I got a whiteboard. I'm very happy. You can see my ring light in there, my double ring light. There you go. You can see that. But that's the setup that we're rolling with. And it's basically going to be, okay, so you got running back on the left. You got tight end on the right. That's your side. That's your strong side that you're running to. And you're just going to see everybody down block. And don't worry, we're going to talk about how to defend it here. You're going to see everybody down block there. And you're going to see pulling a guard. That's the power there. You're going to see pulling guard across the line. And then most people, I think, understand what power is. I don't know. If you've played Madden and you've seen power O or power G, that's what you're going to expect. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see this. And if you're with subtext, you're going to see a lot more of this and probably some film work. But you're going to see that power, that run, that's the gap that you want to hit. Okay? And running power isn't the part that necessarily scares me because Scooby Williams specifically against Arkansas, I think did a very good job of getting to his spot and cutting off a cutback. I genuinely think Scooby did a very good job there. And on film, it looks like he's being passive and he's just like, okay, I don't need to get involved there. It's not it at all. First off, Scooby ain't passive about a damn thing that he does. And secondly, Scooby's stopping the cutback there, and he's doing a great job with it. So you're going to see Scooby's probably going to have quite a bit of responsibility there. The issue, though, is that LSU likes to do a fun little thing where they run power, and then they let Jayden Daniels keep the ball if he wants. And usually when you think about read option, I mean, zone read is what so many people use synonymously with it. And it's usually not accompanied by a guard lead blocking there for the running back. So when you look at power, you've got to come down because, again, you've got left tackle blocking your F or your left edge defender, who in this case is Tyreek Sapp. Your center is going to take Cam Jackson, which, by the way, is going to be an issue. I think that LSU, their interior linemen in general, they're going to be asked to single block here quite a bit. And I do think that's going to be an issue. Cam Jackson, I understand, isn't a superstar player. He's not a dominant pass rusher. He's damn good against the run. And so I think that he can make a big impact here in stopping that. Caleb Banks is probably going to be met there. Honestly, if it were me, I would not hate the idea of going, all right, if the power game starts to work, I wouldn't hate the idea of going, okay, Cam and Big Dez get in there and dare them to run that again. And then Princely's probably going to get met with a double at that point because the tight end's going to be there. So it's just going to chip. And Princely's a damn good run defender at that. And then you got your guard coming around who's supposed to go into the rushing lane. Linebacker's going to come into the rushing lane. Guard picks him up. And if your players win their one-on-ones, if you're LSU, you're going to have running space. Then it's up to the safeties to come down and the other linebacker to come across. But that's where you create true conflict. Here, that's what we're talking about. When we say the conflict defender, in this case, it's Scooby Williams. And I trust Scooby to make the right play. But in this case, it's Scooby Williams, who is circled right there. Because what you're going to see, and this is how I believe LSU makes this read and makes this decision, is because, again, zone read, you generally leave the backside edge defender. So the side that the running back is on is the guy that you leave open because the running back's going to the opposite side. You leave him open and then your quarterback reads him and can run if he wants it. Here, it's gap block, it's power blocking, it's man blocking. So the guy that I believe LSU is going to read on this is going to be Scooby Williams. If Scooby does what I was taught in high school, which we sucked, don't worry about that. But if Scooby does what I was taught in high school, it's that you're going to read the guard, and where the guard goes, odds are that's where the run's going. And that's not a bad approach to take at all, for the most part, especially in the high school. But here, when the guard pulls, I believe the conflict defender in that situation is going to be Scooby. If Scooby sees the guard pull and he goes to attack where the guard is going, he goes to meet him in the lane, Jayden Daniels is going to have the green light to take the ball and run as he please. And I'm sure Jayden Daniels is also just like how when you played NCAA 14, or at least how when I played NCAA 14, I was like, yeah, it's the wrong read, but my quarterback's athletic as hell. That's what Jayden Daniels can do to everybody. So I think that that's going to be a very important part here. Like, we watched the Arkansas game, and it wasn't a good game defensively for Florida. However, the way that they handled the counter and counter bash, good. We'll say good, not great, good. However, one, this is a different kind of run game. This is a different kind of gap game. And two, it's about consistent, continued improvement. And I don't know about you, but as a Florida Gators fan that's been watching this team play this season, I am not comfortable saying, oh yeah, I can trust continued, consistent improvement. Can you confidently say that? I can't confidently say it. I can say Scooby's been playing well this year. I can say he's improved specifically against gap blocking game. We'll see if it works. I think that those are your three biggest ways for the Florida Gators to win. You have to be able to slow down Jayden Daniels in some way. You have to be able to run the football and keep him on the field, slow him down another way. And you have to be able to, you can't get gashed by power running again. It just can't happen. We can't have Kentucky. We can't, like Kentucky this year. I mean, hell, Kentucky last year. We can't have 2021 LSU. We can't have games like that. You can't have Vanderbilt last year. You need to go out there and stop this running game. LSU is going to run zone runs as well, but they're probably going to target power because, well, guess what? Florida hasn't been very good at stopping that. So why not? Like, why wouldn't you do that if you know your opposition isn't great at that, right? Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow, talk more Florida Gators football, and tomorrow will be crossover Friday with Caroline Fenton of Locked On LSU. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon, X, whatever. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33, and I will see you all tomorrow.